Hello there and welcome to this tutorial. In this lesson we will be going over how to troubleshoot Chatscrum by connecting the backend service to the front end. At the end of this video you should be able to get your Chatscram app running smoothly. That being said, this tutorial will be divided into 3 sections. Firstly, we will run the Chatscram app in a container without adding any configuration. Next, we will begin to troubleshoot Chatscram app and other to get it fully running. And finally, we will sign up and log in to our Chatscram app. Let's get started. I already have Chatscram in my machine. If you don't have yours, then go ahead and clone it to your machine using git. In the Scrum master directory, I will locate the Docker file directory and build a Docker image for Chatscram using the docker build command. I will name the image Chatscram and also include image tag latest. The build will take couple of minutes depending on your instance CPU size. Now the build is completed and we have an image. Let us go ahead and run the container. The front end will be using port 5100, while the back end will be using port 5000. I will name the container Chatscram. At this point we do not have a database running. So I am expecting couple of errors to occur. Alright, the container is running. Let us try to access Chatscram app through the browser. I will enter my instance public IP and port, then hit enter. The front end port will be 5100. If you are unable to load the front end on your browser, ensure you have both port 5000 and 5100 opened on your security group. Here you can see we are able to load up the front-end view of the application. Let us try to sign up using some random details. Click on sign up, we get an error feedback response, which means our application isn't working properly. Alright, in this section we will try to troubleshoot our application and get it to work. First, we need to check which endpoint our application is sending back-end requests to. In the browser, right-click and then click on Inspect. In the console area, click on Network. Here you will see all the requests sent out from the application. I will send out a request by signing up again. Here you see we have a request in red. This is because the browser got a 404 response from this request. Let us try to see the content of this request. We see the request endpoint. Immediately I know this endpoint is wrong because the IP isn't my machine's public IP. Now let us try to access the back end of our application. Open a new tab and enter your IP with port 5000 and then hit enter. It couldn't load up, which means the back-end service isn't running. Now we have spotted 2 problems causing our application not to work as expected. Let's head back to our machine and try to fix these problems. Another, to fix the endpoint issue. Open the environment.ts file. Change the domain to use your instance public IP with port 5000. This is your back-end service endpoint. Save and exit the file. Remember, the back-end service didn't respond when we tried to access it from the browser. I will go into the Chatscram container and start the service directly and other to figure out the problem with it. In the container, go into the www folder. Then cd into Django folder and then Scrum Master folder. Enter ls to see the content of the directory. I will run the command python 3.6 manage.py run server. I will use this command to start the backend service directly. We get an error. This is because we do not have a database running for our backend service. Now we know the problem with our backend service. Let us go fix it. Exit the container. I will run MySQL container. MySQL will be the database engine for our application. I will be using version 5.7. I will name the container MySQL and then hit enter. The container is running now. I will go into the container using the docker exec command with the container name. We are now inside the container. Run the command mysql-u, then your username, then -p. Enter the password for the database. We are now in the database. First, I will create a new user. This user will be used by our application when accessing the database. Use the command create user and the name for the user. Also include the password for the user. Next, I will grant all privileges to the user we just created. Okay, we will now create a database. I will use the name new chat. Enter the command create database new chat. Alright, we have been able to set up a user and database. I will exit from the database as well as the container. In the Scrum Master folder, open the settings.py file. In this file we will look for the database configuration settings. Scroll down to the database section. I will modify the configuration to my details. I will change the host name to MySQL, which is my database container name. I am setting the host name as MySQL because I will be linking both containers. Next, I will leave the database name and password because those are the same with my initial credentials I created. Save the file and exit. Okay, we need to rebuild the Chatscrum image. I will run the docker build command with the image name to be Chatscrum. It will take few minutes to complete. Now the build is done. I will run a container from the image. I will also add the -link command with my database container name, which is MySQL. This will place both containers on the same network, thereby allowing them to communicate with each other. Using the command docker ps, I can see my container is running. Let's head over to the browser and try to access the backend service. Using the URL with /admin. Now the backend loads up. Next, in order to log in, we need to generate a user. Let's head over to the machine. Here I will go into the Chatscrum container. Inside the Scrum master directory. Run Python 3.6 manage.py create super user. Enter a username, I will call mine admin, and then enter an email and password. Exit from the container and head back to the browser. I will enter the credentials I created earlier. I am logged in. Click on the Chatscrum Slack app table. For now I will create a table with random data. Enter some random details and save it. I will now go over to the front end and try to sign up once again. In this section we will create a user for our application and then log in to the board. Here in the sign up page, I will enter my email, next I will enter my password and click on the owner button. Next I will enter a project name. I will call mine OCS project. Click on sign up. As you can see, we have successfully signed up. I will enter my email and password. Click login. Alright, we are logged in. Now I will test out some features. In order to be sure my app is running properly. In the navigation section, click on sprint. Then click on the new sprint button. We get the feedback a new sprint has started. Let us proceed and create our first task. Click on my task, then below click on add task button. A pop-up window will be displayed. Enter the task you want to add and then click on add task. As you can see, my task was created. We have come to the end of this video. With this tutorial you should be able to run your Chatscrum app successfully. Thank you and see you in the next.